Hey guys, in today's video I want to talk about grief and grieving the version of you that you never got to be, grieving the things that you didn't get to experience, the love that you never received, grieving these standards, the expectations that I have been holding myself to, that I have been pressuring myself, I feel like, to meet, to uphold, to maintain in order to earn my worth and my value. And this is like one of the things in my life, in the season of my life, that has been coming up repeatedly. Because for so long, and even now, and even of course now, it's very loud how much of my sense of self-worth and my deservingness of like good things and love is on this basis of being earned and maintaining and achieving this level of perfection. And from all the things that I notice my ego telling me, my inner critic telling me, constantly finding fault and flaw within myself when it comes down to the littlest things, and how much shame has really made me question everything and every aspect of myself. And I was journaling about this yesterday. I was journaling about letting go of what my entire foundation has been built on, which is this needing to earn being enough, needing to earn my worth and my value. And there's this loss that comes with letting that go, letting go of holding myself to these standards and these expectations, because I feel like my ego tells me like I failed, like I failed reaching that expectation. I failed at maintaining, I failed at being who I thought I should be, I failed at obtaining this level of perfection and healing myself to this extent, or being somewhere where I think I should be, or being who I think I should be already on my journey, thinking I should be farther along, thinking I should know better, thinking I should know more by now, thinking I should respond better to the things that I've been through and my healing journey in a more acceptable way. And part of me feels like I failed at reaching that, and it feels like a loss. But I also realize that while yes, simultaneously I can acknowledge and validate the part of me that feels like I'm losing something, that I'm losing being enough, that I lost out on earning my worth and my value, but I'm also setting myself free from putting so much pressure on myself to be somebody that I'm not. And I'm really deepening what it means, I feel like, to meet myself where I'm at, and to be like, okay, yeah, I'm not where I want to be, I might not be who I want to be yet, I might not be experiencing what I want to experience, but I can still meet myself where I'm at and be present and know that like the current version of me is enough. And slowly but surely allowing myself to feel safe in that, I guess, that baseline. And honestly, grieving what you never got to experience, who you never got to be, the love and the needs that you never unconditionally received, or that never got consistently met, is definitely such a painful part of this journey that I've seen conversations or people talking about it here and there, but I feel like it's something that definitely needs to be more talked about, because I feel like sometimes grieving what we've lost is glossed over because we are so focused on the end result, that the process it goes so deep when you allow yourself to actually go deep. It is a very deep thing to allow yourself to come to terms with the fact that you never got to experience what you wanted to experience, and that in this lifetime that's probably not gonna happen. And I think coming to terms with the fact that in this lifetime you might not be able to experience the relationship, and that little child you, teenage you, even adult you did not get their needs met consistently, and will probably never have that relationship with your parents. And that's a hard pill to swallow. That's a hard realization. It can be very hard to kind of face that, because with facing that, you allow yourself to digest the reality. And I know for me, accepting reality is sometimes not always the easiest. I tend to dissociate and just am really in my head overthinking, asking why, and just holding on to this anger and this resentment, and wishing I would have done things differently, wishing I would have said things differently, because I know differently now. I know more than I knew then, and wishing, I wish I would have defended myself and didn't freeze up. But I feel like holding on to that, continuing to entertain this idea of, I wish I would have done something differently, just keeps us holding on to that pain and gets in the way of us accepting what happened and who we were at that time. Especially like depending on your own independent journey. But for me personally, like the times when I didn't defend myself, or the times when I wish I would have set a boundary, or I would have been more vocal about how something made me feel, or I wish I would have reacted differently, because there are definitely times in relationships when I have reacted in ways that have ended in a friend breakup, or a huge fight that just kind of exploded into something it didn't have to be, because I didn't really know how to sit with and validate my own emotions. And sometimes we just have to like learn to give those parts of us grace, because those parts of us didn't have the tools and are just not who we are now. We're so in our head and overthinking it because we're trying to escape feeling the pain of what it left behind, of what these situations, the scars, the wounds, the trauma that these events, these people's words left in our lives. And there's this part of us that wants to try to prove it, to try to fix it, to think that if we just hold on to it and replay it in our heads, and if we edit what actually happened and edited us being or saying what we really wanted to say, then finally we'll have some relief. And we have this need to try to control it or try to change it. But I learned like being open to just letting what happened be the reality, be like, yeah, that happened, it happened this way, and I responded this way, and just allowing yourself to feel that pain of what happened, what was left behind, be felt. We think that if we'd done something differently or responded differently, that we would have had a different outcome. But honestly, there's no guarantee that the reality or the outcome that you imagine in your mind is going to actually be the outcome that unfolded, because at the end of the day, what happens to us, like the trauma that's inflicted onto us, is not our responsibility. That is a choice that somebody else made. That is a choice somebody else chose, and how they act and how they show up in your life, how they treat you, how they show up for themselves and their own beliefs and their own experiences. And that's obviously not a justification for how it made us feel in their behavior, but it's just like, that's just the truth. Like there's no way around that. And grieving, especially the love that you never got to experience, or grieving the social life that you might have not have had when you were in school, is definitely not like an easy feat, or not a painless feat, I should say. It's not something that you cry or grieve over once. Like it's a continual process. It's something that you will feel over and over again. But that's how you know you're really healing, because you're allowing yourself to process the emotions that took place during when it happened, that you did not allow yourself to feel, that you didn't have the capacity or the tools or the safe space to feel. Being so stuck in our head of trying to change what happened can really get in the way of processing what happened. But also overthinking and ruminating, I feel like, is a part of the healing process, because within that, you also, when you expand your awareness, you you become aware that other options are available to you, that ruminating is just one way that we can respond, but we can slowly and gradually open ourselves up to responding differently, and open ourselves up to healing and connecting to our bodies, and allowing ourselves to feel what it feels like, what that emotion feels like, what that pain, what that loss, what that heartbreak, what that neglect feels like in our bodies. Because it's heavy, that shame, that grief. Like I said, coming to terms with realizing that in this lifetime that you might not ever experience the relationship that you really, really want with people that you deeply love and care about is earth-shattering. It really is. And I know that I personally have felt so attached to my parents. I feel like in a lot of ways we do, because I mean, we're their fucking offspring, you know, like we have relied on them for a major portion of our lives for survival. But for so much of my life, I have tried so hard to heal a relationship that I didn't mess up, to try to repair something, to try to be enough, to try to work hard, to try to prove, and I'm doing most of the work in a relationship that's not equal give and take, that's where I feel like I care more than the other person does. And especially when you start to let go, and the foundations that you have built your sense of worth on, building it on, and your nervous system is baseline, and it's been trained and has learned that I earn my worth, that I have to do more, be more, push to be enough to earn my place in this world. And that it's not that I'm not allowed to freely experience joy and peace. Like, I have to feel guilty about it. There's this underlying obligation of feeling guilt and shame. There's this loyalty to it that makes you feel so imprisoned, and it makes it so hard to enjoy the present moment. And acknowledging that and allowing yourself to feel that not enoughness, just allowing yourself to meet yourself deeply and crumbling those foundations, it's so powerful, but it's so painful, because in that you also take autonomy back over yourself. You take responsibility for who you are and who you choose to be and what you want, and you start to loosen your grip on being who other people have wanted you to be, being who you think other people want you to be in order to earn your safety and your place in this world. Because we've been conditioned from a young age that what we want, how we feel, doesn't matter. People never really asked us how we feel. People really never considered how things would make us feel, how their actions would impact us. We were never really a priority when it came to consideration. And so we develop that type of same relationship with us. But when you start to allow yourself to feel the grief and the anger, and you start to realize that you deserve better, and it's actually not all your fault, and you start to kind of let go of control of things that you don't have control over and focus on the things that you do have control over, and you start to like empower yourself in really different ways that you're not used to and familiar with, it can really feel like a huge fucking mind fuck, because you're in one place but you're becoming somebody else, and you feel like you're not doing anything right, and you still have that inner critic constantly criticizing you and kind of attaching to new things to criticize you for. But then there's also a part of you that's like, you know, I'm not my thoughts. And it's kind of like this, just like this back and forth of this, like this ego versus this my truth, my authenticity of who I want to be and how I want to show up in the world, and me making those, and me seeing the fruits of my labor in terms of how I've been nurturing my relationship with myself and nurturing my creativity, and just reminding and just reparenting myself. Honestly, that's exactly what the fuck it is. But it's a loss, because sometimes you just don't even know who to be anymore. You don't know. There's just like sometimes confusion and this lack of clarity, and there will be moments of clarity when you realize that continuing to speed up and continuing to force isn't working, and you receive clarity in the moments of stillness. And the moments of stillness are just something that you crave and that you slowly gravitate towards more and more, and you incorporate more just grounding and being in nature and disconnecting from the noise of other people. And for me, I've been like, I haven't been using TikTok consistently. Like if I have something to say, I will post it on there, and on my social media in general. But honestly, lessening my time on social media has just been something that is so needed, and something that I've been feeling called to do. At least, like, I was taking social media breaks to, like, back in the end of 2025, but it's really helped me get clear with my own voice and get clear with myself, and just to connect to myself and just have less distractions, because, you know, I just being on my phone all the time is not a priority. And when I have other priorities, when I have other ways that I want to spend my time, it's like I can survive without this. And it hasn't been the easiest, but I know that I can do it. And it's just, honestly, it just feels really good. It feels really fucking good. So this is your sign to, like, take a social media break or something. Like, I promise you, you're not missing out on anything on there. Like, and sometimes I don't hate saying that, but there's also this part of me that's like, well, there's things happening in the world that I want to pay attention to. And bitch, like, I do. And, you know, like, when I go on there, I pay attention, but also it's important that I focus on my life and my real life, because so much of also my identity has been absorbed with social media, or like contorted with social media. Conjoined is what I want to say, conjoined. And so I felt like I wasn't really living my real life, because I was so focused on customizing and aestheticizing my social media life and how I want to look like, or what I want it to look like, what I want my content to look like. And, like, there's nothing wrong with that, because I do create content. I do share a lot of vulnerable aspects of myself, my journey, my story, the medicine that I have taken along with me, with the lessons that I've learned, that I'm still learning, that I continue to repeat over and over again, because sometimes, bitch, I'm stubborn, okay? Like, I have no shame about that, and as I shouldn't. But what was I saying? Yeah, I just felt like I just wanted to get back to real life. I wanted to get back to the present moment. I wanted to get back to just focusing on myself and just drawing my energy in, because I really do feel like I'm transforming, you know, I'm really transforming my relationship with myself, my sense of self, and what my internal world has been built on up until this point, and caring so much about what other people think. And I really needed time, and I still do need time, to just get clear on my own voice, my own internal compass, trusting myself again, and what I want to do and how I want to show up in the world. And I feel like I was trying so hard to balance that, but, like, I'm constantly changing and transforming. So, like, when I have one idea, it changes into something else, because, like, bitch, day by day, like, my days, like, are the same, but they're not the same. But it just, like, it's slowly but surely. And it's beautiful, but it's honestly something that, like, I can try my best to put into words, but it's really something that you just really have to experience for yourself, because this shit's real as fuck. And one of the biggest things I've also been having to come back home to, when it comes to just accepting myself and accepting who I am on, like, a primal level, is honoring where I'm at, honoring my pacing. Because there are times, oh my God, when I definitely compare myself to other people. I compare my life, my journey to other people, and where they're at, what they're doing, what they've learned, what lessons they've learned and integrated, and how they embody what their authenticity is. And when I catch myself comparing myself or beating myself up for not being perfect, or when I feel this violent urge to like hurt myself because I feel like I'm falling short of who I think I need to be, that I'm falling short and I need to punish myself to do better and to be better so I can be deserving, so I can be enough. And breaking that cycle and that pattern with compassion has really allowed me to feel safer within my body and to just like trust where I'm at and where my body's at, and that force and pressure doesn't really get me anywhere. If anything, it causes me to tense up more and to feel more unsafe. And one thing this journey has taught me about myself is that I need compassion, I need gentleness, I need patience, and really learning how to like show myself that has been one journey on its fucking own, but it works. It fucking works. It really works. Like when I show up differently in the terms of how I relate to myself, by like how I talk to myself, by, you know, just being like, okay, this is where I'm at, and coming home to my body and breathing and slowing down and just knowing that I can slow down. It really is like a brick by brick rebuilding of how you relate to yourself, how you treat yourself, how you relate to your emotions, how you relate to your inner world, your relationship with your emotions in your internal world, and your trauma, and how you respond to your trauma, and your own timing and your own pacing. It is quite literally a fucking rebuilding from the bottom up, and changing your whole approach when it comes to how you relate to yourself, how you relate to your thoughts, how you respond to your thoughts. Especially when we grow up experiencing trauma, emotional neglect, fucking abuse, we are so used to criticism and inconsistency and just being hard on ourselves and hating ourselves, and it is so fueled by shame and this feeling like we're a monster and hating ourselves on a primal fucking level, because we think that there is something fundamentally wrong with us. But like changing that belief requires a complete reconstruction of your nervous system and how your brain functions. And the thing is, like, I'm starting to realize that I am somebody who has complex trauma. Like, I have CPTSD. And continual trauma rewires your brain and your nervous system, and learning about how trauma impacts the brain and the nervous system, and seeing how, like, no, this is not like a personal moral failing, or this is not because there's something wrong with me and I'm stupid and I can't get anything right, bitch. No, I've been impacted by trauma, bitch. Trauma has fucking traumatized me. And I think realizing that has further helped me, like, let go of that shame, because it's like I'm acknowledging the parts of me that have been in pain, that I have been forced by family or myself to suppress or to question and to dismiss. Realizing, like, no, this is like an actual, like, I'm really like, bitch, I'm healing my brain and my fucking nervous system, bitch. That takes time. Like, that really fucking takes time. Oh my god, there's like, bitch, like, get away. No, but like, okay, hey person, hey. But yeah, it fucking takes time. And I think learning about, like I said, how trauma impacts the body and the nervous system, and that it is possible to heal, it is possible to recover, and things like compassion techniques, somatic exercises, and the work that I've literally been doing is literally working. And I have done so much for myself already. I've already come so far, but with my inner critic and my ego is so focused on my deficiencies and what I'm not doing or what I'm not doing right, that I overlook how far I've come and everything that I'm done right, and the fact that I'm actually doing fucking okay. I'm just healing and recovering from trauma, so it makes sense that I don't feel perfectly safe. Like, safety and authenticity is not something to maintain. It's when the body feels safe enough to express that and to express its creativity naturally. It's not something that we maintain in the mind. It's something that we anchor in safety in the body for us to actually be able to do that. And it really is about working with the body. because I know I get frustrated with myself when I feel like I'm falling short of deadline. Like I feel like there's a deadline on when it comes to being healed or being authentic, and all of these things that I've internalized from like spirituality and healing, which has been great nonetheless, because I definitely desire to be authentic. I do this work for my inner child. I do this work because I resonate so deeply with the concept of a wounded inner child and healing childhood trauma and feeling that hurt and that pain of childhood neglect. Like I really have devoted myself to this journey because I care so deeply about myself and my inner child, and I care about my relationship with myself, even when sometimes my actions contradict that completely. But like deep down I fucking care. Deep down I know that this is what I'm meant to do for something greater than myself, but also because like I owe that to myself, I feel like, in a way that is seen or unseen, bitch. But I definitely get frustrated with myself because I think I'm falling short of where I think I need to be, or embodying or maintaining this person or this version of myself. But in reality, like, I'm only holding myself to standards and expectations that are of other people. But the thing is, like, this journey is my own, and that's really also something that I'm learning, is that like this journey is my own, where I'm at is my own, and my authenticity is my own. And holding myself to standards and expectations or comparing myself to other people's journey is not really in alignment with like being authentic with myself. Like being authentic is learning to meeting yourself where you're at, and learning to work with and not against that version and that part of you. But I think I'm gonna wrap up the video here because the sun is setting, and bitch, I'm gonna head my ass home. Girl, I gotta go home, y'all. But thank you guys for tuning into this video. I was just inspired to make this video based on something that I journaled about yesterday that I talked about in the video already. And it really just inspired me to share that message because I thought, you know, I'm just setting myself free. When I said that it feels like a loss to let go of holding myself to these standards that I have been trying so hard to attain, feels like a loss, but in reality I'm setting myself free. Like, I thought that was so fucking powerful, and I thought I had to share it, and it is powerful, so I'm glad that I'm sharing it now. But yeah, I am gonna wrap up the video here, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.